And my name is Jerry Mitchell, your host for Give God 90. Thank you so much for joining me for just a little while today as we look into something that is extremely important when it comes to reading our Bibles and understanding how all of these things come into play. Today, forgive me, I'm going to get a little technical, okay? The first technical thing I have to get out of the way is if you haven't downloaded the Give God 90 app, you might want to do so because this one you might want to go back to for reference later on. This particular podcast is going to contain a tremendous amount of information about the current Bibles, and I say Bibles plural, many English translation Bibles, and we're going to get into some of that in just a little bit because there's some things that are important that you need to know. It's that simple. You just need to know this stuff. And forgive me, also, I am still trying to get over this. I'll be honest with you, I think it's a virus that I picked up when I went. I cut myself last week and had to go to the hospital, and a couple of days later wound up with a really, really nasty virus to go along with my stitches that sort of has affected my speech just a little bit. It's settled in my throat and my sinuses, and forgive me, please. It's just I'm a little rough and a little yucky still, but it has given me time to research this because I haven't felt like doing anything else. I haven't felt like getting outside as nice as the weather's been as we enter into the summer season after Memorial Day. So please bear with me just a little bit as we dig into some of these things that are so very important to what we see today. Okay. I'm going to start in Psalm 2. And one of my translations reads, "Why are the nations in an uproar, and why do the people mutter in vain?" And then it continues in verse 2, "The kings of the earth stand up, and the rulers take counsel together against our Creator and against His anointed." Now, if we dig into these verses, I should say, and we ignore the English for just a moment, all right? Let's just ignore the English for a moment. And we really go back and we pick up the Hebrew, and I'm not going to do this in a lot of Hebrew because I know there's a lot of people out there that don't read and understand it. But I'm going to tell you why you should be interested. If you go to any of the search engines and you type in the question, how many English translations of the Bible are there today? One of the first things that comes up is Wikipedia automatically because they have the biggest number of search words on their thing and they promote it, and it's all kinds of, but you can go there and you're not going to get a straight answer. You have to count through and I just counted through the complete Bible translations they have, and I came up with 88. I've counted it 3 times, got 88 all 3 times, and I can tell you they're not all there. They're missing a couple of translations. I have one of those translations. I know another person who has a different translation, okay? So there are at least 90 translations, and I know of 2 more that are being published soon. So we're going to dig into that just a little bit too. So why is it important to go back to the original language and find out what these words mean? Interesting observation I had this week. Some folks that I know, and it kind of ties into this just a little bit, okay? I have joked about conspiracy theories before, but bear with me. If we look at Psalm 2, verse number 1, and the translation I just read to you was, why are the nations in an uproar? Okay? If we go straight back to the Hebrew and we read it, we don't get why are the nations in uproar. It says, why is there so much commotion? Why is there so much tumult? Why is there so much grief among the and the Hebrew word goyim, either the Gentiles or the nations? Sometimes it is translated as heathen. Okay, why? One of the translations is, why do the heathens rage? Now, let's think about this. David's writing this. It's a second psalm. He should be in a good mood, but he's saying, why do the nations rage? Why are the people other than the children of Israel in such a commotion? And he continues that the people plot, they moan, they growl, they're not happy. They're not happy because they realize that what they have is empty. It's vain. Right? The translation I read to you, why are the people in an uproar, and why are the nations in an uproar and the people mutter in vain? You know, they do things without any completeness. They're empty. Vain means empty. Remember that. Vain means empty. When you see the word vain in Scripture, it comes from the Hebrew word rich, which means empty. It's without anything, without filling. It's incomplete. There's nothing there. There's no substance. There's nothing. So this really isn't a question. He's getting ready to tell you something very important. And what he's saying is that the nations other than the children of Israel, other than the children of Abraham, the people are moaning and groaning, complaining, but it's without cause. It's without anything. He goes on in verse 2. And the translation I am reading from today is actually the Jewish Publication Society. Verse 2, the kings of the earth stand up and the rulers take counsel together against our Creator and against His anointed. When we go straight back, it says that the kings set, and the rulers, the kings and the rulers of the earth set themselves up. And they take counsel. They establish. Taking counsel there means to establish themselves together against, and it is the Tetragrammaton, the Yud-Heh, Yahweh, what I pronounce Yehovah, and against His anointed, the Messiah, what Christians call Jesus. Okay? Why is this important? And it's important because of the rest of the psalm. Let me finish reading the rest of the psalm, but I'm going to read it in a different translation this time. Okay? I'm going to read this from the Tree of Life version. And in verse 3, let's rip their chains apart and throw their ropes off of us. He who sits in heaven laughs. Our Creator mocks them, so He will speak to them in His anger and terrify them in His fury. I have set my King up upon Zion, my holy mountain. I will declare and decree, the Creator said to me, you are my son, today I have become your father. What's going on here? David's saying that the reason that these people are so upset, the reason that they don't want any of this to happen is because they understand that our Creator is doing something important. He is about to establish the Messiah, the Anointed One. He is about to set something up that they don't like, that the people don't want to hear. The people who rebel against God, the people who love to live in their own way, not following the ways of the Almighty, but in their own way. And they are upset. and they're doing everything to conspire. Can I say that again? They're doing everything to conspire against the Almighty. Why is this important? And actually, many translations in the English language do use that word conspire. Okay? Now, I have joked about conspiracy theories in the past, and there are some hilarious conspiracy theories out there. Some just really try to abolish all the laws of physics that our Creator established when He created the heavens and the earth. It's that simple. Everything because of gravity, and I mean everything because of gravity, wants to be in a not always a perfect sphere, but a glob, let's say. If you look at any of the heavenly bodies, we know they're not flat discs. It's impossible to have that. If you splash water, if you splash milk, you don't get flat discs. You only see one side of it because it's a circle, but if you take different pictures of it from different camera angles all the way around it, you can tell that it is a sphere. Because these small droplets form a sphere. Rain, when you look at rain, it looks like it comes down in a teardrop shape. And you only get to see one side of it. But if you take pictures, if you were able to take pictures all the way around it, you would see that it would look like if you blew up a balloon just a little bit and tried to stretch it out from top to bottom, that's kind of what it would look like because gravity affects it. It tries to stay together in a sphere, but because it's falling and it has resistance against the air and it has resistance against other raindrops and they're beating and banging around, you come out with these elongated type teardrop shapes. It's the laws of physics that are in action because when God spoke, He spoke in such a way that even His breath going forward created these things. Okay? That might be a little kind of tough to get your mind wrapped around, but that's okay. We'll talk about that another time. I want to go on with why this is important as to why these translations may be, some of which may be misleading. Today, we have over 42,000 different Christian denominations around the world. 42,000 different ways to worship one Creator. Okay? Can they all be right? No, they can't all be right. Can they all be wrong? No, they can't all be wrong. We have just in English, over 90 different translations of the Bible. Not different versions, different translations. That means that over 90 people or 90 groups or over 90 assemblies, if we can say it that way, have written their ideas about what the Bible says. Now, some of these do not all go back to the original language. Some of these are paraphrases of what's already been translated. That's important to know because if you're reading a paraphrase, it's already been translated, okay? Which means that now the paraphrase of the translation is somebody's idea or somebody's concept of someone else's concept. Do you see how that takes you farther away from the Creator? Whenever you step away, and actually Eusebius used this concept back in the 4th century. When he would write, and he would talk about different heretics being so far removed from the disciples that they didn't know what they were talking about anymore. We're doing the same thing today, but we're trying to go in reverse. We're trying to say, okay, this translation that this particular translator gets from the original language, now I'm going to do a paraphrase of this translation. So, because I didn't think this guy knew what he was talking about, I'm going to do it again. That's what they're saying. That's really what they're trying to do. Now, you have heard me say before that everybody has an agenda, and everybody does. And I've made it very, very plain what mine is. My agenda is to get you to live according to the way the Almighty designed you to live. That's my agenda. I put that out there, I don't know how many times. That's what I'm trying to get you to do. And if I can get you to live the way the Almighty designed you to live, I'm all the better for it. And so will you be. We're trying to improve our own lives here, right? The best way to do that is to live according to the way that the Almighty designed you. If you believe you are created, if you believe that there is the ultimate creator who actually created heaven and earth, why would you not want to live according to the way he designed and planned for you to live? That's the question you have to deal with. My agenda is very simple. Get you to live the way he designed you to live. Other people's agendas might not be that simple. And I say this because, and this is important, not everyone has your best interest at heart. Some people want your money. Some people want more. Some people would be content to receive anything you would give them. Other people want more. What more would you have? Guess what? There are people out there who want to control the way you think. There are people out there who want to control the way you eat. There are people out there who want to control you. We see this all the time. Now, it's easy to see this in some countries where there's dictatorships. Dictators want to rule the lives of their subjects. In the United States, we happen to have this thing called freedom for now. Okay? You have to continually work at it. You have to continually use it because it's just like anything else. If you don't use your freedom, you're going to lose your freedom. If you don't continually establish your free boundaries, then someone else is going to establish their boundaries and yours shrink. It's that simple. The same thing is done by using the Bible. For years and years and years now, many, many Christians have been silenced because they have been taught that silent prayer works. When you read your Bible, you understand that communication with the Almighty needs to be verbalized. It needs to be released by your breath speaking to your Creator. That's simply the way it works. Daniel understood it. In fact, he understood it to the point where he would even open a window no matter who was listening, and he would speak. Nehemiah spoke in front of the king. He prayed in front of the king. We don't know exactly what he said. He may have said something very short under his breath, but he uttered a prayer that what he said would get the results that God needed, right? There's other times we see this. Even Christians should recognize that when Jesus says, go into your closet and close the door to pray, he's not saying to shut up. He's saying, go somewhere where the enemy isn't going to disturb you. Right? That's your thing. But we have been suppressed by this agenda of silent prayer. Christians have been suppressed by this concept of the separation of church and state in the United States of America. That just isn't real. Now, when you go to other countries, it's not as covert as it is in the United States. Other countries blatantly suppress, violently suppress, not only Christians but Jews and anybody else that particular leaders don't agree with. Now, to the point where they kill them. It's that simple. They will kill you if you don't agree with the dictator of the day. And if the dictator of the day changes his mind, guess what? You have to change your mind too. It doesn't work like that yet in the United States, which is why so many people want to come here, because they do have, the freedom to do things. Now, some people just want free things. They don't understand what it takes to maintain those. Enough politics. The important thing to realize about these folks who want to control you is they know if you go back and you read the original language of the scriptures, guess what? They're not going to have any control over you anymore. They're not going to be able to control the way you think. They're not going to be able to control your mind. They understand that you will stand your ground against them. And it doesn't matter, because the worst, if in the minds of these dictators, these people who want to control you, these people who have an agenda that is not in your best interest, in their mind, the worst thing they can do is kill you. Where if you really understand Scripture, that's not the worst thing they can do. Sometimes the death of a martyr promotes the concept of an idea. Now, I'm not saying we all need to go out there and die. What I'm saying is we need to listen when our Creator tells us to do something. There have been times when He has told people to walk out and take their punishment. There has been times when He has instructed people to stand and fight, and there has been times when He has instructed people to remain silent. You need to do whatever your instructions are. If you are instructed to stand up and speak, He will give you the words. If you are instructed to take some type of action, He will provide you with everything you need to take that action. If you are instructed to sit down and shut up, I would advise you to sit down and shut up. Okay? It's that simple. I don't know. I can't get any more plain than that. Now, hopefully, when He instructs you, you're going to listen, and you have been listening for a while, and you're going to go, you know what, I'm prepared for whatever comes my way. There's a big reason I don't go to mainstream churches anymore. I can't, because I just don't keep my mouth shut. When somebody says something really off the wall, I ask, where do you find that in the Bible? And I really enjoy it when they say, well, it's not really in the Bible, but we believe. Because now they have just pulled their own foundation out from under them. They're standing on an incomplete second-story roof. They have no foundation. They don't even have a first floor. And now, a lot of these people, I have made let's just put it this way. I've been very sarcastic when I say there are certain groups of people that I can leave curled up in the fetal position crying when I get done. And maybe not literally, but I have sent many, many, many people back to speak with their elders, deacons, whatever they call their religious leaders of their denomination, and they don't knock on my door anymore. And, I guess I have this big sign out in front of my house that says, don't come here. That's just the way it works. When you confront people with truth and they have no foundation, guess what happens? They fall. And they realize they've fallen. They realize they're following something empty. They realize that they're following someone else's agenda. And it's not in their best interest. They're not living the way their Creator designed them to live. They're living some other way. They're doing something different. So now they have a decision to make. They can either follow the Creator's instructions, or they can continue down the path they were on. Do you see how that works? I hope you do. Because when you see how that works, my heavens, they have nothing. They have absolutely nothing to stand on. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to encourage you. Whatever Bible, whatever translation of the Bible you have next to you in your home, whatever you use, whether it's on your electronic device, whatever you use, don't limit yourself to one. Okay? And not on electronic devices, not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about translations of the Bible here. Don't limit yourself to one translation of the Bible. If you don't speak Hebrew, if you don't speak Greek, and there's not that many people that do, let's be honest, okay? Find some study tools that go back to the original. Libraries are full of reference material, and a lot of people don't open these reference books that are available to them. There are tools that are online that are available to you free of charge. They're put out there by people similar to myself who want you to study for yourself, who want you to dig into these things and see what's going on. Because if you don't take the time to read for yourself, that's what these folks are betting on. Okay? They don't want you to read your Bible. They don't want you to go back to the original language. They don't want you to open the books. They want you to be as ignorant as they can keep you so that they can manipulate you, so that you will follow their agenda, whatever their particular agenda is. And unfortunately, what I'm going to say now may be painful for some. But there are many, many people out there who are willing to follow the teachers and the preachers who tell them exactly what they want to hear. Let me say that again. There are people out there who are willing to follow the teachers and the preachers and some of the rabbis and some of the other things, religious leaders type out there, who are going to tell you what you're comfortable hearing. They're not going to tell you the truth. They're going to tell you these things, and they're going to gather these groups of people, and they're going to say, you know what, I've got 10,000 followers out here because I'm not telling them the truth. I'm telling 10,000 people what 10,000 people want to hear. There's not that many groups out there that are speaking the truth. But there are a few. There are a few. I had a lady give me the best compliment I've had in a long time. She says, I agree with 99% of what you say, but there's about 1% that I don't understand. And I smiled and I said, you know what? Chances are that 1% you don't understand, I'm quoting Scripture, and I might not understand it either. But let's be honest. If you are speaking Scripture and you're going back to the original, back to where it comes from, and you're tracing these words out, you're finding the roots of these words, and you're going back to their first usage to see what they mean, then you're well on your way to being a pastor's worst nightmare. Let's just put it that way. When you go back and you study for yourself and you see the difference between what's coming out of many, many, many church pulpits and what it says in the original Scriptures, you will see for yourself the difference. I encourage you to go look at Wikipedia, and they have a list of 88 English Bible translations. Count them. If you want to. I've counted them 3 times. Go ahead, count them again. Make sure I didn't miss something. But they're there. Can they all be right? No, they can't all be right. Some of what they consider translations are not translations. They're paraphrases. They're listed as such. And that's okay. That's okay. Go count them. And then you have to decide for yourself. Are you living the way your Creator designed you to live? Or are you following somebody else's agenda for you? You have to decide that, and I hope that you choose to follow your Creator's plan for your life. Have a wonderful, wonderful week.